Hi, in the previous video, Nick explained the good reasons why you should at least consider exporting. Of course, there are perfectly valid reasons why companies do not trade internationally. For example, those companies which provide local services, like hairdressers and taxi drivers. Clearly, their market is and will remain local. However, there is no doubt that many SMEs have the potential to export, but remain focused exclusively on their domestic market. We looked at the reasons why this is the case. We found that these reasons were common to companies across the world. Essentially, these can be summarized as a belief that exporting is simply too difficult, too expensive, and too risky. Yet, if you have survived and succeeded in your country with access to the right services and resources, it is likely that you can compete anywhere, especially if you have a strong domestic track record and nationwide distribution. In this video, we will look at 10 common reasons that are given and explain why they should not stop you from exporting. We show them to be myths. Of course, there are genuine challenges to be overcome. We will set these out and then explain how these can be overcome. Bear with us as we go through these points. A few minutes of your time could open up potential sales that you had previously ignored. However, to set expectations from the beginning, there's no magic wand and it will take time and effort to create your export markets. Okay? On the next slide, we will look at 10 common myths why companies ignore the potential of opening up export markets. So, here they are. The 10 most common reasons companies have given for not embracing the opportunities offered by international trade and realizing their true potential are: I'm too small to export. I should concentrate on my home market. It costs a lot with no guarantee of success. I can't compete overseas. I should focus on one new export market. But which one? It's difficult to arrange shipping. There is fiendish documentation, the language difficulties. I can't deal with tariffs and non-tariff barriers. Payment difficulties and currency risks are too difficult for me to resolve. Now, at least one of these myths is deeply embedded in many small companies' psyche, and it needs only one barrier to put a stop to looking at foreign markets. Therefore, on the next slide, I would like to deal with them in some detail. Okay, so here we go. Let's confront these myths one by one and show that they are not true. I'm too small to export. This is rarely true. Globally, the majority of exporting firms are SMEs. It is true that large firms typically account for far more total exports by value, but SMEs dominate the exporting population. So, if other SMEs can export, so can you. I should concentrate on my home market. That may appear understandable, but it's a very short-sighted view. Your home market accounts for just a small fraction of the world market. In effect, non-exporters with exportable products and services are saying, I'm not interested in the additional sales that exports could bring. Yet, if a new sales order came to you from a neighboring country, would you say, no, I'm too busy? Not likely. If you sell only to the domestic market, your sales volumes depend upon the health of your domestic economy. If you develop export markets, however, should your domestic market falter for any reason, there is the possibility that these can cover the reduction of home country sales. By serving a wider portfolio of markets, you actually reduce your risk profile. It costs a lot, with no guarantee of success. Traditionally, it was absolutely true that you had to risk significant time, effort, and investment just to get started. This is now no longer the case, as you will see from the videos in this playlist. However, you will still have to dedicate careful thought to developing your export plan and put in concentrated effort to implement it. I can't compete overseas. The world is large with varied needs and interests. If your product is bought domestically, it might well be wanted and affordable somewhere else in the world. What makes your product sell in the domestic market can help it sell abroad. Price is important, but it is not the only selling point. Other competitive factors are needed: utility, quality, service, credit, consumer taste. These may override price differences. I should focus on one new export market, but which one? Traditionally, companies have been advised to choose a specific country and then conduct a focused export campaign in that country. This means risking success on one market, and entering a market using traditional means requires a considerable investment of time and money. It may even be necessary to exhibit at physical trade fairs, when costs can easily run into tens of thousands of dollars. The videos in this playlist will explain how to promote your products and services to the world. You will see who comes to you and then decide whether to focus on any specific countries. You can do this without leaving your office and for very low levels of investment. It's difficult to arrange shipping. It's not really your problem. There are lots of freight forwarders out there providing competitive quotes for all the shipping services you need. Fiendish documentation. It is true that exports require extra documentation and that you may have to adapt your packaging and labeling. However, your freight forwarder and/or customs agents can advise you what is required. Language difficulties. You must certainly allow for language differences, especially on your website and in your product and service collateral. However, there are zero to low-cost solutions available to you. These are explained in the video. International communications. If you require interpreters for negotiations using online video conferencing, these can also be easily and cost-effectively arranged. Tariff and non-tariff barriers. You should certainly be aware of them. In the main, they are relatively minor issues. However, these are not problems that you have to solve by yourself. You can check with ITC's Market Access Map. This service identifies customs tariffs, tariff rate quotas, trade remedies, regulatory requirements, and preferential regimes applicable to your product. The link is in the description below. Also, your freight forwarder should be able to provide you with all the information you need. Payment difficulties and currency risks. You should certainly cover payment and currency risks. However, they are risks that have been faced and resolved by countless companies. So, there are no reasons why you cannot face and resolve the same issues. If you would like to understand in more detail how these concerns can be managed, you will find a relevant video in this YouTube playlist. Now, this does not mean that there are no challenges to opening new export markets. There are. In the next slide, we will set these out, and then in the subsequent slide, we will explain how these can be managed. The 6 genuine challenges to international trade are as follows. Connecting international buyers and suppliers. How do you meet? International communications. It is not simply a matter of translating everything. Risk reduction and management. There are additional operational risks, and you must take steps to reduce and manage these. Logistics and supply chain management. There are extra issues, but these are easily solved. Costs, financing, and pricing. You have additional costs and finance issues which have to be evaluated and included. However, there's nothing to be overly concerned here if you take the right steps. Documentation and digitalization. Yes, there will be extra documentation when exporting goods. Also, you do need to check whether your digitalized documents and signatures are valid in your export markets. Now, let's look at how you can resolve these challenges. We have prepared short videos which are included in this playlist, covering all of these challenges. Let's quickly go through them. Connecting international buyers and suppliers. How do you meet? We prepared the video Connecting Buyers and Suppliers to explain to you your range of options, international communications. It is not simply a matter of translating everything. The video Communications covers your options. See the video International Communications. Risk reduction and management. There are additional operational risks and you must take steps to reduce and manage these. But also it has to be said that exporting actually reduces your business risk by reducing your exposure to your domestic market. Check out the video, Risk Reduction and Management, Logistics and Supply Chain Management. There are a few extra issues you will have to deal with, but these are easily solved. See the video, International Logistics. Costs, financing and pricing. You will have additional costs and finance issues to evaluate and include in your pricing. However, there's nothing to be overly concerned here if you take the right steps. Check out the video, Cost Calculations, Documentation and Digitalization. Yes, there will be extra documentation when exporting goods. Also, you do need to check whether your digitalized documents and signatures are valid in your export markets. See the video, Digitalization of International Trade. You will note that these videos make reference to various online services. You will find all of these services in the Exporter's Almanac, as well as in the descriptions below each video. The link to the Exporter's Almanac is shown in the description below, and you can access these free of charge. You don't even have to register. If, as I hope, we've convinced you to at least consider what steps you would have to take to open up your export potential, then I suggest you view the video First Steps. It's linked right here. Thanks for watching. If you would like to contact us directly, please feel free to do so. Our website and my email contact are on this slide and in the description below. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more insights on growing your international trade potential. Just click the subscribe link on the screen. It doesn't cost anything. If you think anyone you know would be interested, please share this link with them.